Hey there, happy Wednesday to you. Today I'm continuing my talk from yesterday about emotions. Today I really want to focus on emotional intelligence, or EQ. In my recent conversation with Josh Friedman, we talked about the emotional recession and how emotional intelligence has actually been on the decline for the last few years, which is pretty disturbing. And you might see why it's disturbing when I talk about this today. But I want to share with you really a positive message about emotional intelligence and how by increasing our overall emotional intelligence as an individual, we can live more fully, more purposefully, with more meaning and a greater sense of joy. So that's hopefully where I'll get to with this conversation today. So if you look at emotional intelligence really serves as a level of self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills. That's all encapsulated in this field of emotional intelligence. Now, Josh talks about it briefly, and there's a few key metrics there which have many different markers within each. And the first one is awareness. Another one is connecting beyond oneself. And a final one is internal connection, or self-guidance, I suppose you'd call it, internal choice. So that's using the intrinsic nature of each of us to guide our lives more fully. So each of those metrics really important. And the first one, I think, is probably key in my life. And it's been the one thing that I've really pushed and focused on very inconsistently, but over time, like any practice, have become better and better. And that is just creating a higher level of self-awareness, because I think if you're more self-aware, you're more able to navigate the ups and downs of life, right? So I think that's really important. And one of the key markers there that they actually saw decline significantly was optimism. So people's optimism towards life has declined fairly significantly over the last few years. The next one, which I think is really important, it's about that inner faculty, using our intrinsic guiding system to guide our lives. Now we're surrounded by all this noise these days, all this distraction, attention stealing, attention seeking, external measures and expectations that we're tuning out from what's within. And if you look back at one of my previous talks, I talk about the top regret of the dying, living true to yourself. And I think the reason why we're not living true to ourselves is because we're not connecting within. And I think that's a big factor here in our overall emotional intelligence. And then the final one, I think, is this idea of connecting beyond oneself, or contributing back to society in greater ways. And that's through empathy and social skills. And we all have something that we can give every day, whether it's doing a little act of service for someone in your local community today, reaching out to a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, and sharing some gratitudes with them. Whatever it might be, you might be looking to start a charity organization about a particular topic that you're very passionate about. So those things seem to be on the decline, pursuing noble goals, as Josh described it. So those are the three metrics, right? Awareness, intrinsic guidance, and connecting beyond oneself. And again, listen to the podcast. I think you'll get more out of that than maybe this conversation with me, because Josh is quite researched in this particular area. But I suppose what we can do today so that we can increase our own emotional intelligence and live life more fully, with more purpose and with more joy, is really tapping into those three areas. What can we do today with our awareness? Now that's fairly simple, and I talk about it plenty of times. I think just a mindfulness activity will certainly benefit us. I know when I started the mindfulness sort of practice and meditation, I didn't know what to do really. I was sitting on the floor cross-legged, like one of those images you see out of the books, and I just started, following some guidance from others, counting my breath, whatever it might be. And it was tricky. It still is tricky sometimes. But now I can sit down quite comfortably, and once you get into the routine and practice of things, you do find the joy in it. And I find an immense pleasure in just taking the time out, whether it be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, to just find a little bit of calmness, a little bit of silence, a little bit of mindfulness. And that level of mindfulness helps me be more composed throughout the day, throughout the week. When there's adversity and challenge that comes in, I'm a bit more calmer to deal with that. And I think most people you talk to would share the same experiences. And it grows over time. It's probably the slowest noticeable progression that you can see with meditation or mindfulness practices compared to some other practices you might do, like exercising. But when you do notice them, it does pay off. Now, if you look at the idea of emotions, right, and being that we just get these emotions come through us and we react so quickly, this level of awareness and mindfulness practice will allow you to respond to your emotions rather than react. And that's, I think, a very big key. The next one, optimism, positive intention. Just by waking up and sharing some gratitudes with yourself about what you're grateful for in life. And you can do this at the start of the day, at the end of the day. You can do this throughout the day. That is a great way to become more positive daily, because there's so much negative stuff around us all the time. Our brains are wired to think more negatively and focus more on the negative thoughts of the past. So by practicing gratitude, that's a good way we can step forward and be more optimistic about life. Now, when you're more optimistic about life, you become more an agent of your change. You become more a believer that you can control the outcomes of your life. And when you do that, you will act with more intention. You will act more purposefully. And I believe in doing that, just being more purposeful day to day, you'll feel a greater sense of joy in life. I think the other one that we talked about is intrinsic guidance systems, really connecting within, strengthening your inner faculty. The biggest thing I think that we're struggling with right now in society is that we're isolating. We've got all this tech. We don't need to go out there and connect with people as much. It's not necessary for our survival. And so we're isolating, we're closing in, we're self-absorbed. And I think we then are surrounded by all this technology and noise, and we use that external noise as our guidance system, rather than taking the time out. And this is something that I really want to focus on, taking the time out to be with myself in my thoughts without those noises and distractions, so I can connect more within. And I think the more we can find time to do that, and meditation is one of those times where you can actually do that, but doing it at other times in the day too, just being silent, thinking about things, whether it's 10 minutes a day, it's small, right? But it can make a big difference. And spending some time, working on yourself. I think self-development is never ending. I think it's going to last for my life. It's something that I got into late in life, but I've loved every moment of it, and I've been very excited about where I've come to. And again, man, I've got some demons and some battles still to go, but where I've come to today is amazing, and I get really excited about what the next 10 years might look like as well if I keep up this good practice of self-development. So having that level of growth in your life, I think, is really important. So spending some time weekly, once a week, once a month, whatever it might be, going to a seminar, going to see someone, getting a coach, whatever it might be, having that positive input and that level of guidance to help you connect more within, that will allow you to live more true to yourself. That will allow you to live with more purpose. And more purpose, I mean, by doing more of what it is that aligns with your strengths and skills, by doing more of what aligns with your passions, by doing what you love, what lifts you up, what fires you up, what allows you to live and breathe with more joy. And I think when we do more of that, the next step, connecting socially, moving beyond oneself becomes easier, because we're more aligned with our inner purpose. And when people are aligned with their inner purpose, and you can see it out there, I can see the people that I look up to, the mentors, they seem to be so aligned with their inner guidance system that they're just giving back tons of value to the rest of society. And we can't all be like that potentially, but we can find ways to give back. We can find ways to give beyond ourselves. We can find ways to practice empathy. And I think if we can do those things, if we can find more awareness, if we can live with more inner guidance system, if we can contribute beyond oneself more, so contributing, all those things I think are so important. And if we can do those, and we can practice those daily, if we can think about those things daily, we will live life with greater fulfillment, freedom and joy. And I think that's really important. So hope this message sunk with you. I know it's a long-winded message, but really important conversation. And I think it's something that we can all focus on individually. If we focus on it, great, it's going to help you out. Collectively, we need to focus on it as well, because like Josh said, it's dark streets at the moment. There's a lot of noises, and we need to start reconnecting again and regrouping and coming together as a society, I think, is really important. Have a great day ahead. We'll talk tomorrow.